it's Daniel here from Only the Strong, and today what we're here to talk about is proper push-up regression and proper push-up progression. If you've ever done any courses with me or any sort of education, you know it absolutely irks me when I see improper progression or regression of the push-up posture, because in my opinion, it's one of the most fundamental aspects to successful strength and power distribution from our clients from an initial stage, and as well from you in a workout setting when you're just trying to develop some generalized strength. So in this video today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the fundamentals of why something is a progression or why something is a regression, and also using our eyes from a visualization standpoint, as well as using our brains from a logic standpoint to really deduce some of the basic principles to our success when it comes to developing our clients. Because remember, whether you're working with a client or yourself, how you start the process will generally be how you continue it. So all of the, negative tendencies, all of the bad habits that we ingrain initially will just carry themselves forward, and they'll show themselves as we start to escalate exercise. So I hope you enjoy. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about, what proper push-up posture should look like. We want to talk about progression, regressions, and trying to develop some of the concepts around that there. So we have Tatiana here, the head of rehabilitation at Only the Strong. She's going to be our stunt double today, and we're going to work through some of these things so we can see what's going on. So Tatiana, I'm going to have you just lying down in a prone position. Just chest here, please. All right, lying flat down on the ground. So it's important, guys, when we're thinking about the push-up, one of the things that we want to universally understand is that we want good balance throughout the entire body. We're thinking about plane of power. Remember, if we can stack joints and stack bones, we can be more successful within our movement. Tatiana, I'm going to have you give us 2 to 3 push-ups. All right, so as you can see through some of the movements here, relatively decent, come straight down to the ground, relatively decent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about somebody who may not be doing some of the things that we want them to do. So let's say that someone's struggling with the push-up, all right? So Tatiana, what you're gonna do is you're gonna give us a struggle bus push-up. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, we've all been there before. So there's a few things that tend to happen here. When someone's struggling in the push-up, what do we tend to do? We tend to bring people under their knees. So what I'm going to have you do, Tatiana, is come under your knees, give us some girl push-ups. So you hear this a lot, girl push-ups. So once again, as I said in the intro, anyone that knows me knows these type of push-ups absolutely drive me nuts. You can relax, and for one reason and one reason alone, because when we talk about progressions and regressions, yes, this movement from a stimulation, first of all, let's talk about the definition first. When we're talking about a progression, we're talking about an exercise which stimulates the body more than the original exercise. When we talk about a regression, we're talking about an exercise which stimulates the body less than the original exercise. So yes, from a definitional standpoint, coming down to your knees is going to give you a regressive feel. The problem is, and this is something I tell all my students, is how do we get from our knees back to our toes? And I think that's where we're lost in translation, because you'll see people all around the world doing hundreds and hundreds of push-ups off their knees, and then immediately when you try to get them off of their toes again, it's like they went back to square one. So what we want to do is we want to build some of the foundational success points immediately right off the bat. So I'm going to have you come back up under your knees. So first things first, when we're talking about push-up, we're talking about integrity of many places. First, we're talking about abdominal integrity. So we want to ensure that our clients have a flattened out posture, so she's slightly rounded here, and then we're just going to push her into a flatter posture here. So as we can see, I don't know if you can see as much from the video, she's a little bit rotated, so she's rotating a little bit away from me. Just going to make a slight adjustment. There's not much that we can do right now in this current few minutes that we have, but we're going to just kind of run with it as such. Next, something I like to see as well is I like to see scapular retraction. So a lot of the times you'll find, Tatiana, relax. All right. A lot of the times what you'll find is that people will just kind of have their scapulae winging. Right? When scapulae is winging, that means that the latissimus is not firing. Remember, our latissimus is really the only lateral depressor of our shoulder. So if the latissimus is not firing, our shoulders aren't depressed, and that means they're kind of doing their own thing when we're trying to push up. So first things first, remember, we flatten out our client, get them to that rounded posture, bring them down to that nice soft arch that we're looking for. Then we're going to cue them. I want you to pinch this together. All right, we're from the set position, pinch together. So there's our tactile, there's our kinesthetic energetic cueing to reset the push-up posture. From there, what I'm gonna have Tatiana do is come back up onto her toes, all right? And I don't want that position, see how that position faulted a little bit? Come right back down. We do not want the position to fault. If you see that fault happening, meaning we see a bigger round or a bigger arch in the back, that means that they've lost the initial position we're looking for. So we have to reset the stimulus. So same thing, we're triggering round, flat, pinch, pinch, pinch. Then we're gonna have her drive up to her toes without compromising the integrity. From here, we go into our push-up posture, back down to your knees. But that doesn't solve the push-up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you a push-up regression. So rather than, taking off 25, sometimes 35, depending on the size of your calves, sometimes 35% of the body, what we want to do is we want to regress the body, still challenging the normal stimulus of movement. So I'm going to have Tatiana lie flat on the ground. All right, from this position, we're going to do the exact same cueing process. So nice and tight in the core, slight arch, pinch those shoulders back. What I want Tatiana to do is push as hard as she can off the ground, trying to stay as straight as she can. She's going to push straight up, all the way up to the top. Perfect. All the way back down. Relax. Okay, so let's troubleshoot again. Let's say she struggles. She has a lower body that's a little bit heavier than her upper body. So what's going to happen? You'll see a little bit of a snake. So you're going to see her upper body come up first, then her lower body come up after. Is that okay? Not necessarily, but remember, we're building the foundations. So the goal is not to be perfect on day one. Right? The goal is to be progressive to get to that perfect push-up. So maybe first week, we see a little bit of snaking. First week, right back down. Second week, we still see a little bit of snaking. Eventually, maybe fourth week, fifth week, sixth week, we should see a little bit more stabilization. Let's say the person struggles. It's a big struggle for them just to get up to the top. What we can do from this position, rather than having them bring themselves down, come down to your knees. And then just bring yourself down to the ground. Remember, we are not worried about that eccentric loading posture right now. We're worried about the big stimulus package, which is that concentric push off the ground aspect, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reset, so nice and flat, pinch. You're gonna come up nice and flat and straight all the way to the top. There we go, down to your knees. Perfect, reset, here we go. Nice and flat, pinch all the way to the top. Down to your knees, all the way down to the ground. There we go. We're teaching the push-up posture. Let's say someone's really struggling even from that position. What we do is we target base of support. I'm going to get her wide in her base. Remember, the wider the base of support, the easier or the more evenly the weight is distributed. So same principles apply. Pinch together, course tight, all the way to the top. Much easier. Down to your knees and relax. That is how we properly regress to eventually progress the push-up. Peace.